whatever you want to do. It is I, your Lord Octopussy, and we're here with the Hillbilly changes. So the Hillbilly right now, as you may know, is in quite a bad spot, and I hope to change that by ultimately making the Hillbilly a stronger but also more interesting killer. And to start off with, we're actually giving him one nerf, and that's decreasing his base movement speed to 4.4 meters per second. I think you can see where we're going with this. We've decreased his chainsaw charge time to 2 seconds. We've increased his movement speed during the chainsaw sprint to 11 meters per second. After the Hillbilly collides with an object, he can move at a speed of 1.6 meters per second during the cooldown animation. A successful hit cooldown animation is now only 2 seconds. The turn rate during chainsaw sprint is increased to 45 degrees per second. And he is able to continue chainsawing through pallets or breakable walls, and survivors hit 5 seconds after chainsawing through a pallet or breakable wall are damaged for a single health state. Base kit low pro chains. So let's go on to the add-ons. The common steel toe cap boots, junkyard air filter, and heavy clutch are all exactly the same as before. We're replacing the speed limiter with the jury-rigged engine, which, in addition to what speed limiter already does, it also prevents the chainsaw from having any overheat whatsoever. Now onto the uncommon add-ons. The spiked boots increase the movement speed during chainsaw cooldown after colliding with an object by 1 meters per second. Punctured muffler increases the chainsaw cooling speed by 75%. The off-brand motor oil reduces the range, which within chainsaw noises can be heard, by 50%. And the death engravings increase movement speed while charging the chainsaw by 5%. The big buckle increases the volume of survivors' grunts of pain by 50% and causes them to suffer from the hemorrhage status effect until they are healed if they are hit by the chainsaw. Now onto the rare add-ons. Increase movement speed by 0.2 meters per second for 10 seconds after successfully hitting a survivor with a chainsaw. The low kickback chains increases movement speed during chainsaw sprint by 50% for 5 seconds after chainsawing through a pallet or breakable wall. The leafy mesh gained the undetectable status effect for 15 seconds after hitting a survivor with the chainsaw, which is exactly the same as before. The rare doom engravings increases movement speed by 0.1 meters per second for every 10 chainsaw heat charges. The black grease resets the chainsaw's overheat gauge when successfully hitting a survivor with a chainsaw or having a flashlight aimed at you. Now onto the very rare tuned carburetor. Increase the chainsaw movement speed by 10% every 2 seconds. Dad's boots instantly removes 25 chainsaw heat charges after destroying a pallet or breakable wall. The pig house gloves, while overheated, increases action speed while vaulting, damaging generators, breaking pallets or breakable walls by 40%, decreased pallet stun duration by 50%, increased base movement speed of 4.6 meters per second, and increases your basic attack lunge range by 50%. The very rare low pro chains will allow you to continue a chainsaw sprint after hitting a survivor. Survivors hit with a chainsaw sprint within 5 seconds of hitting another survivor are only damaged for a single health state. Apex Muffler silences the chainsaw for all survivors outside the Hillbilly's tear radius. Gain the undetectable status effect until you stop sprinting after maintaining a chainsaw sprint for 2 seconds. We've combined old iridescent brick into Apex Muffler. And speaking of iridescent brick, if the chainsaw is not overheated, the Hillbilly stands still after colliding with an object while using chainsaw sprint. During the cooldown animation, the Hillbilly can press the power button to immediately start another chainsaw sprint and immediately gain 50 chainsaw heat charges. And onto the new Mori animation. The survivor will roll on his back and try to crawl away, in which the Hillbilly will break the survivor's legs with a cattle hammer. Whilst the survivor wince in pain, the Hillbilly will rev his chainsaw and slice from the top of the survivor's head down to the abdomen. Afterwards, he'll pull the chainsaw out pretty roughly, like having to force it out with his boot and all that, whilst looking down at his victim as the chainsaw begins to cool down. So let me know what you think of these changes down below, and I hope to see you for my nurse change video. But apart from that, have a wonderful day, and bye-bye.